right, now, Kenya is among 15 countries in sub-Saharan Africa that accounted for 80% of all malaria cases in the world in 2016. Now, this is according to the World Malaria Report 2017 by WHO, which stated that there were 5 million more malaria cases in 2016 than in 2015. Malaria takes a toll on families and has a significant economic impact. Each case of malaria is estimated to cost Kenya's health system 10,000 shillings and often leads to a week or more of missed work or school days. Now, a recent study by Robert Mudida of Strathmore University reports that very poor households lose approximately 20% of their monthly income to malaria treatment. Now, Christmas is around the corner. We're going to see most people travel to different parts of the country. What can you do to prevent malaria? With me in studio to steer that conversation is Liz Ayan and to my immediate left, and Alice Ayuelu from Mosquito Specialist Kenya Limited. Thank you very much for joining us here on Weekend Express. So let's start with that. Kenya is among 15 countries in sub-Saharan Africa that accounted for 80% of all malaria cases in the world. I'll start with you. What are your comments on this?
What I can say is that malaria is very deadly, but what people lack is the knowledge, because it is controllable and it is curable. So I think what Mosquito Specialist Kenya Limited is coming up with is not just killing and controlling mosquitoes, but we are coming up also with an educational program to educate families and people living around areas where mosquitoes can be found or are breeding.
Yes. Alice, what are your comments on this?
My comment on this is it has been a passion. And that's why I went to the US to study control of mosquito within the environs where family or people live and work. With the knowledge that we lack, that's why we've been having this prevalence of mosquito in Kenya. So mosquito control is coming to partner with the stakeholders, those who have been doing research, so that we can work together and reduce the percentage of the death.
All right. We all know that malaria comes from mosquito, but how exactly does this happen? Can you maybe tell us what the cycle of a mosquito is? Liz?
Yeah, the life cycle of a mosquito, like we have it on the screen here, is 16 days. And it takes about 3 days for the female. It's the female that lays the eggs, so it takes about 3 days. So it starts with the larva stage, and once it is in the larva stage, you are able to control it as well in the larva stage, and because when it is in the larva stage, it is living inside the water. And to kill the larva, if we have to kill the larva at the larva stage, we use briquettes, and briquettes are granules which are dropped, especially in standing water, which are dropped into the water, and it kills the larva by poisoning it. So it dies. But then it goes to the pupa stage, and then it becomes a mosquito.
All right. There's something very important on your mosquito life cycle, if we can get it on the screen. And there's a picture of a bottle top, and I guess those are the pupa or larva, I am not sure. All it takes is a bottle top with some water for a mosquito to breed. Alice, I want you to comment on this, because I didn't know that personally. So if it's that simple for a mosquito to breed, can you tell us more about that?
Yes, mosquito is a very intelligent insect. And one bite can cause malaria. And the female, once it has bitten you, it will look for a place to breed. So when it's looking for a place to breed, it will go where there's any standing water or any shrubbery. So these are the areas which we need to look into, because in as small as a bottle top, it can breed over 20,000 mosquitoes, so long as the water is still standing there for more than 10 to 12 days.
A bottle top is more than 20,000 mosquitoes?
Yes, if it continues sitting there, because it's not only one mosquito you'll find in a home. There'll be several coming and going, you know. So this is something that even the researchers would tell you, it happens.
So what are the other areas that we can get mosquitoes in even our homesteads, Liz?
In our homesteads, what we need to look at is the gutters.
Okay.
We have to look at the gutters and anywhere where there's standing water. Sometimes it could be the tires that children play with, the car tires, and then it rains and water stands there. Nobody thinks of clearing them. The children's toys. It could be in the drainage. It could be a part of the garden maybe that is slopey and water doesn't leave from there. It could be a blocked drainage system. And as long as it remains standing for more than 12 days, it will be a breeding place for mosquitoes, because mosquitoes do not lay eggs if the water is stirred. Once the water is stirred, you can leave the water there for 3 days, but you come and stir it a little and leave it again, the mosquitoes will not, just like a fish pond. Because there's fish making movement, so the water is stirred continuously. So it will not lay eggs there.
All right. Alice, I remember there was a time you were telling me that a mosquito's breeding is 21-day cycle, yes, if I'm not wrong. And what we people do, even Kenyans, me personally, you'd call someone, a specialist, to come spray your home, but then forget that the mosquito has already laid eggs, so the cycle continues. Please tell us more about that.
All right. As we all know that the life cycle of a mosquito is 21 days.
Yes.
When mosquito specialists come on the ground, we will take care of the adult mosquito as the first treatment. And then after 21 days, because of any eggs which has been laid within the compound. I mean, nobody would tell you that the first treatment after killing the adult, the chemical will penetrate on the egg. It will not. So after 21 days, that egg will hatch. So we have to come back again and treat the urged mosquito at that particular time. And then in between, because the mosquitoes doesn't lay eggs in one day at the same time. So in between, if there's any that had laid eggs thereafter, then we do our third treatment to clear the cycle of the mosquito within the yard or the home or the compound. Then after that, we recommend a monthly treatment in order to control. Without maintenance or control, this is what happens, and that's why everybody always have mosquito on and on and on. And the little things people ignore in their homes, the dustbins, where they keep their waste material, the gutters. If you ask people how many times they clean their gutters, they don't know. The drainages within the homes, they are not looked into. And this is what mosquito specialists teach any of their clienteles on how to manage. Because this is a teamwork. It's not only us coming to treat, but we need to educate each other so that we are able to control mosquito menace.
Now, I'm just curious, you talked about, earlier on, you said mosquitoes come and go. So, yes, you'd have come, you'd have sprayed, the cycle continues. But then what about those mosquitoes that actually come from outside and come and then they start their own cycle of their own?
What we do as a mosquito specialist, once we've treated your compound, it will be like asking you, which neighbor do you hate most? They will repel because they are intelligent. If I've treated your yard, your shrubbery, they will smell it and they'll go back to where the treatment has not been done. So you're covered, as a family, you're covered. But usually we talk to the neighbors. If we are treating your home, we'll walk in and tell your neighbor, we are mosquito specialists and we are treating your neighbor's home. So, you know, if you'd like to, you know, do the same, it will be important for the whole community to be
Liz, let me
covered.
come back to you. Alice talked about repellent. We all know that mosquito repellents are some of the measures that have been taken. They're there. You can always go get them over the counter. Do they work?
Well, on some people, they say sometimes the repellents work. But you see, the repellent will just work for a short period of time. So the best thing is to control the breeding areas of where the mosquitoes, the breeding place where the mosquitoes are. Yeah. So repellent can work, but it is not a long-lasting solution. We have tried repellents, yes, people are saying that they're working. What the repellent does, it gives a foul smell that mosquitoes don't like, so that is what keeps the mosquitoes away. Okay. But in the long run, I think we need to look at way of controlling the mosquitoes.
All right.
Yes.
Apart from repellents, there are mosquito nets and all, there's so many. But then if the number is still high, if Kenya is still at 15, where are we going wrong? I'll start with you, Alice.
I think basically we are using mosquito nets, and there's a lot of funding coming for malaria.
Yeah.
I've talked to a number of NGOs whom I don't want to name names.
Yes.
They've been using nets. But how do they collect their data? When you go on the ground, you find the same mosquito net that you gave an old woman in the village, and she is keeping it. She is keeping it in a box or in a wardrobe or wherever for the visitors. So if an old woman tells you that I'm keeping my mosquito net to the visitors who come and visit me, how about her? Because we are trying to take care of her. So this is where mosquito specialists comes in. Let those who are doing research on mosquito, because they've been doing it for so many years, and if mosquito nets are not working, let them try another way. Are we going to take care of the outdoor spraying of mosquito on one side, and the other side we use the net, and then they can collect the data and value it and see what can work for the reduction of malaria deaths in Kenya.
Yes. Yeah. There's also, you've talked about grandparents and grandmothers, you know, people in rural areas keeping their nets in for the visitors.
Yes.
There's also the issue of washing. When you wash your nets, does the medicine, you know, evaporate with the wash, or what happens? Can we continue reusing it, please?
Yeah, you can continue reusing it, because when you're given the net, you're given the tablets that you're supposed to use when washing it. So I think sometimes it's out of just laxity that people just imagine that they can continue washing it without using the actual tablet that is used, that will stick on it as a repellent.
Yeah.
And then I think what is lacking in the community is educational.
Yeah.
They need to be educated, because some of the tactics are very simple that you need, because if you are staying and you have your, because the old women, like you're saying, they have those little nets. Some of them are actually using them on their kitchen gardens to drive away the chicken, not to get into their kitchen gardens.
Yes.
So really, if you had told this lady what the value of this net is, I think she would look at it differently.
Yeah.
So we are lacking that educational background. So people need to go on the ground to the community and tell them this. This is what needs to be done.
Okay, but you know, you've talked about the nets and the gardens and everything, but when I'm sleeping personally at night, yes, I have a net, but then you'd hear a mosquito just buzz somewhere there, even if you have a repellent, even if you have a mosquito net. Yes, we're talking about the long-term effect, what can work, but then where, as Kenyans, especially now that we're traveling, we're going to be going to different places of the country, what can we do in terms of packing, you know, preparing, controlling measures before it's too late, Alice?
All right, when you're traveling, as we are all aware, I'm not a doctor per se,
yes,
but you are supposed to take preventive before, during, and after. You can check with your doctor. He can prescribe any preventive drugs so that you are covered. But again, as mosquito specialists, we are here to educate people who live in Nairobi, who have homes, that they can always call us so that we take care of their homes by treating their compounds, so that when they are going home on holidays, they can go to a free mosquito environment. by treating the house, by treating their yard before they land with the children, will enable them enjoy their holiday at home with their children, doing barbecue, sitting with friends, having parties outside without insects or mosquito, menace. You cannot, like I come from Kisumu. It's a mess. It's a mess. So people should take precaution. I have a home. We have the likes of people who have nice homes. Just treat your yard. Spray prior to. Take your preventive medication. Yeah. Then, go home and have fun and enjoy your holiday. Who wants to be sick of malaria when you're on holiday?
Yes.
Yeah.
You've talked about educating people in Nairobi. Let's not forget about the people in rural areas. What are you guys doing? What are you doing as a company or as specialists to ensure that you're not only educating those in Nairobi, but you're also creating awareness to different parts of the country, Liz?
What we are planning to do is to approach each of the counties, especially areas where malaria is prone. So we are going to engage the ministries of health in the counties, and we're going to tell them this is what we are and this is what we stand for. Because I believe the counties have a certain amount of money that has been set aside to take care of things like malaria, which is not just for a person who has malaria, but it is something that is affecting the country generally. So we are in the process of approaching all the 47 counties and talking to the persons in charge of health. Okay. And then we are going to take it up from there.
All right. Alice, what is the #1 mistake we Kenyans or human beings make when it comes to combating malaria?
Okay, the #1 mistake we make is we don't remember to take preventive measures when we are traveling. We just pack our bags and leave for home. And then when we come back, we stay out late at night. We don't lock the windows before dusk. And then, by the end of the day, the mosquitoes will bombard you. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the cost. It says that each case of malaria is estimated to cost Kenya's health system 10,000 shillings. And very poor households lose approximately 20% of their monthly income to malaria treatment. First, these people are poor, and they lose around 20% of, their monthly salary to treating malaria. One, how can we help them in terms of, apart from spraying, and what options do they have? And then also, what is the cost of the spraying? Can they afford it? Alice?
With the people within the village.
Yes.
My take, because I've worked in the village, my work entailed working with the old ladies and the orphans and what have you before this. We need to educate. Knowledge is power. Those with knowledge must go down on the ground and share their knowledge.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, the county government should create awareness so that when they issue nets, they should do a follow-up. I went to an old lady's house with a net which was given to them, which looked like a tube, which cannot even cover the bed properly. So instead of her using it, it's like, it cannot cover the bed. So when you're issuing a tender for somebody to supply nets, because this is, a free funding project, does anybody look at the quality of the nets they're issuing to the people? And those who are distributing nets, do they educate the community about them dishing out nets, or it's just a question of the nets have come, let's give out?
All right. Before we continue with the conversation, Stephen Sang from Kericho is calling in. Good morning, Stephen. How are you? What do you have to say about this conversation?
I want to ask about the tablets you are talking of, because you are supplying the mosquito net without the tablets for washing. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you there. Nicholas from Migori is calling in next. Nicholas, good morning. What is your contribution towards this conversation on fighting malaria?
Hello?
What is your contribution towards this conversation of fighting malaria?
Malaria?
Yes.
No.
Can you hear me, Nicholas? All right, we'll be getting back to that. So Stephen has raised a very important issue here. There are people who supply nets without the tablet. What do you have to say about this, Liz?
See, this is now where, like my colleague Alice said, there is no education that is being given to the community about the nets. And those who are giving it, maybe the tenders are being given and we are getting substandard material. So maybe some of them have come and have not come with the tablets because they come together. They come together with a tablet that you use when you're rewashing. So there must be some disconnect somewhere, and this needs to be looked at. This is now that is something that has been raised that we need to actually look into.
All right. We want to take a short break here on Weekend Express, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about the quality of nets that are supplied. What can we do to ensure that we are safe from malaria? Don't go too far. So